Yukiana. Ever seen a beautiful woman with snow-white skin and long black hair wandering through the frigid winter? It may have been a Yukiana, snow woman. When she walks along a snow-covered terrain, you won't find any footprints behind her. The majority of Yukiana stories originate from Japan's snowy, northern prefectures like Aomori and Akita in the Tohoku region. In some versions, she is a snow vampire who sucks the souls out of her victims. In other versions, she uses her supernatural beauty to lure weak-willed men into the cold, then leaves them to freeze to death. Some say the Yukiana was a beautiful woman who was murdered in the snow and now does the same to others as an act of revenge. Chachinobake. This lantern ghost isn't malicious like other yokai, he's just a naughty little trickster who enjoys giving humans a scare. The Chachinobake, paper lantern ghost, will flick its large tongue out, roll its eyes and laugh loudly to frighten passers-by. It's actually kind of cute. The Chachinobake does not appear in any of Japan's mythical stories or legends, and only appears in ukiyo-e and kabuki plays. So there is no origin for this particular yokai. One theory is that he was invented simply to scare children. However, tsukumogami, tool spirit, do appear in Japanese mythology. Tsukumogami are tools or objects which become yokai after 100 years. Thus, a regular lantern may turn into Chachinobake after 100 years of use. This comes from the ancient Shinto religious belief that all objects, even inanimate ones, have a soul. Maybe don't visit any temples, izakaya or other places likely to have lanterns if you don't want to run into one. Joragumo. Translated to English, Joragumo means woman spider. However, the kanji can also mean entangling bride. They are cunning and appear as seductive young women. They feed on young men who fall for their tricks, trapping them in their webs and devouring them slowly. The Joragumo legend is based on the real golden orb weaver spider, which is found all around Japan. When the spider reaches 400 years old, she will transform into a Joragumo and start preying on humans. There are several stories based on the Joragumo. In Tono Agusa, Night Watchman's storybook, a young warrior encounters a beautiful woman. Realizing she is a yokai, he strikes her with his sword, and she flees to the attic. There, they find a dead spider about 30 centimeters long and surrounded by decaying bodies. In Aizu, Jorin Falls is home to a Joragumo. The legend says a woodcutter encountered the spider when she tried to drag him behind the waterfall. He escaped, warning the village to stay away, but an outsider met the Joragumo. Surprisingly, she let him live as long as he never spoke of it. Unfortunately, the man was the opposite of coy. The story diverges from there, but most versions end with him entangled in spider web and wishing he had kept his mouth shut. Worse, Joragumo isn't the only killer spider in Japan. Tsuchigumo dirt or earth spider are huge wandering spiders with human-like faces that hide in corners and dark spaces. They were likely influenced by the real-life Chinese bird spider and bandits and soldiers that hid in the shadows and preferred to ambush people. Geshitakuro. The poor, unfortunate bones of those who've perished on the battlefield turn into Gashitakuro, starving skeleton. These yokai form in places where masses of normal skeletons lie, such as in villages after famine or disease has wiped out the population. Because they died without a proper burial or funeral rites, the souls and bones come together and create one giant skeleton, 15 times the size of an average person. The skeleton specters feed on lone travelers, biting their heads off, feasting on their bones and drinking their blood. Yamaba. Are you planning on hiking in the mountains this year? You may want to rethink that, as that's where you'll find the Yamaba, mountain witch. These decrepit hags, depicted as old women with messy hair and filthy kimonos, are known to offer shelter to weary travelers only to kill them once they fall asleep. The Yamaba were once regular women but fled to the forest after being accused of crimes. Another theory is they were victims of ubasut, literally abandoning an old woman. During hard times such as famine, a family would lead their elderly into the forest to die. Here, they would grow angry and resentful, becoming cannibalistic and practicing black magic. However, In some stories, they are benevolent. For example, a Yamaba might give a kind stranger treasure or good fortune. In Aichi, Yamaba are seen as protective gods. Kappa. This small human-like creature has a shell like a turtle, green scaly skin, and a plate on its head that must be filled with water at all times to stay alive. They live in Japan's rivers, lakes, and other waterways. In Shintoism, Kappa, river child, are respected as gods of water, and statues of them can sometimes be seen at shrines around Japan. Kappa quirks include having an affinity for cucumbers, hence the Kappa Maki, and never breaking a promise. In the urban legend version, a more menacing Kappa loves to pull lost children and animals into the water to drown and eat. They still like to eat cucumbers, but also raw human intestines. Kokuse Kana is a malicious, contemporary yurei, whose name literally translates to slit-mouthed woman. Legend says when she was alive, her husband punished her for her acts of adultery by slicing her mouth open from ear to ear. Thanks to this act against her, this ghost appears as a beautiful young woman wearing a surgical mask, holding a sharp weapon like a pair of scissors. She approaches people at night and asks them a question with sinister intentions. Am I beautiful? She coos. If you answer no, she will kill you instantly. If you say yes, she removes the surgical mask, revealing her gruesome mouth. With a big smile, exposing sharp teeth, she'll ask, "How about now?" An answer of no will result in you being dismembered by the ghost. Say yes, and she will make you as beautiful as she is by slicing your own mouth from ear to ear. An encounter with a Kokuse Kana is a lose-lose situation, always resulting in death. The murderous woman briefly appeared in the 1984 Studio Ghibli movie Pompoko, and several Japanese horror movies have been made with her story as the premise, including the 2007 low-budget horror flick Carved, The Slit-Mouthed Woman.